recently. One Big Switch surveyed 2,800 Irish households and discovered that nearly 3/4 of those surveyed spent over 10% of their household income on energy bills, rendering them fuel poor.
So here to tell us all about these findings and, as always, to share some tips on how we can all save a few bob on our energy bills, we have consumer advocate and consumer heroine, Sinead Ryan.
No, that's the elevation. That's
putting
a tall ask, isn't it?
No, tell us all about the Big Switch.
OK, well, the Big Switch is a campaign to try and get people just to think about switching from one supplier to another. We're very bad at that in this country. You know, we tend to we're very brand loyal and we tend to stick with the companies we've always had. We also think it's a big hassle, which it isn't. Now, energy is one of the markets where it's dead easy to switch because there's 14 competitors in some of those markets, which makes it like brilliant for consumers. You know, they can pick and choose between
the more companies out there, Sinead, the better for us, really.
The better for customers and the better deals that you can strike, because they're all competing with each other to get our business.
Yeah, and it's great actually when you can look at something, you'll probably get the best deal with a new switch as well.
Exactly, because a lot of these companies offer discounts to new members coming on. Say you sign up for a year or you sign up for 18 months and they'll offer you a discount straight away. Yeah,
no, they're hoping that you'll sign up for a year or 18 months and that you'll stay forever.
You're absolutely
because
right.
that's what we've been doing. We are creatures of habit.
You're absolutely right. And what happens is, and this is one of the reasons then that people end up spending a fortune on their energy, on their gas and electricity, as if it's not expensive enough, because they forget about the renewal, they forget they signed up for a year, and there'll be a little term and condition in there that'll say after a year your tariff will, you know, revert to the standard rate, and you'll suddenly find you're paying it.
OK, so you need to take a look at that. It's an awful lot of money when you think of 3/4. I'm not surprised people are fuel poor, because, and especially when you look at this year, which has been particularly cold and all that, people have had massive hikes in their energy bills.
They have. I mean, just look at the period of snow we had and the storm, and I mean, sorry, spring isn't here yet. I don't care what the calendar says. It's cold out there, and especially for older people and people on fixed incomes and low budgets.
That can't afford a 20% hike.
And that fuel poverty that the One Big Switch survey found is that people are reluctant then to put on heating when they need it. You know, they're doing without things like, you know, OK, maybe luxuries like holidays, but even basic things like maybe proper food or a winter coat or something that they really do need, just to try and keep the extra heating on, or to keep the heating on for a little bit longer.
Now, we've got a few graphics we're going to show you guys, and you'll take us through these. This is the first. This is a kind of a bundled amount.
So one of the ways you can save is by getting your electricity and gas from the same company. Now, it's not always the case that you'll make a saving, but companies really want your business. They want both of it. So by switching under this particular deal that One Big Switch you've got, you can save up to 408. Now, that would be off kind of a fairly standard high tariff, really, by bundling it and getting rid of it. So given that we spend about 1,200 to 1,400 euros for the average house on that every year, like, that's a big saving, you know, that's well worth going.
That's only an average house over an average year as well, Sinead, and this year hasn't been average, as we just discussed there as well. So
what I like about that, though, is great, is that this is not just available to new customers. This switch here is available to existing ones too, I believe.
Yes, nothing annoys me more and more, as you know, than companies that only offer things to brand new companies. Because what about the customers that stayed loyal throughout the years and paid the hiked prices? You know, they get nothing. So that really annoys me. So it's great to see, you know, that kind of deal being offered to everybody. And companies are waking up to that fact. The loyal customers are the important ones.
But they're the customers that they've been there for so long. They've been paying their bills for a year, so why not take care of them?
Absolutely, so even just saving on one, so electricity, not everybody has gas, of course, as we know, the natural flow into that. So even saving on electricity, you can save up to 217 euros. And that's just, in this case, by switching to Bord Gáis's current offer. And again, you're saving that off a bill of really 800, maybe to 1,000 euros of electricity a year in an average. Now, that would be, say, a 3 or 4 bedroomed house.
Do you know what? I can see that you'd easily go through that, to be honest.
Well, you would, of course. And I mean, you add teenagers into the mixture, you can throw another 20% onto that.
Do you know what I found really interesting the last time you were on is people are quite afraid of, say, plugging in a heater or something like that, like freestanding. But you were just telling us that it's something like 30 cents an hour to run one of those tiny little blow kind of heaters.
It is, because a lot of people think we were told years and years ago when we were young, maybe that don't put on the heater now, don't put on the
second bar.
It's a bit like the immersion, leave it, you know. But really, actually, they're so modern now and so efficient and so much better than they used to be that the cost of them aren't. If you're only living in one room, or you're just in the sitting room maybe in the evening and you don't need the rest of the rooms on, there's nothing wrong along with setting up one of those electric
Little
fan
blow
heaters.
things. And they only cost about 30 cents an hour.
30 cents an hour to run for the efficient ones. I think that's okay. That's fine.
That's very good, actually.
It's a great deal. Now, they don't emit a huge amount of heat, but for a small front room, it'll be more than
They give you what you need in one sense. No, you said it was easy to switch, so how do we go about it?
Yes. Now, one of the big, of course, fears that people have is that somebody has to call out and dismantle everything and plug things in and drill into Anyway, none of that is needed nowadays, okay? So if you want to switch your utilities, you need to get what's called a gas meter reference point or an electricity meter reference point. That'll be on the top of your bill. So just your paper bill, it'll be written there.
Yeah.
And you have to go out and take a meter reading. All right. Now, most of us are on estimated bills. This is costing people a fortune, by the way. They don't send out men to read your meter anymore, or even women.
Men or women folk, yeah.
You have to do it yourself.
So hang on a second, so when you get your bills, they're just estimating it on previous bills?
If you have your bill number and the letter E in a brackets beside it, that means it's only ever been estimated. So you're guessing.
People don't know that. So I don't think a lot of people
really
realise
do.
that.
So check your bill, and if it has the E written on it, you're probably not paying the right price.
Okay.
Now, if you do what my mother did and then ring in the right amount, found out that she was actually being underestimated.
Okay, right, beware. Buyer beware. Okay. But if you are, actually, no, that is a very interesting thing, but can you then get money back? Is that possible? If they've underestimated you, we don't want to pay anymore. Thank you very much. Just like Sinead's mother.
Yeah,
but
the bill will be readjusted for the actual amount that you've used. I mean, nobody wants to pay more than they have to. No. The companies are only entitled to get in what they've actually spent. So get your meter read. Usually it's in you open with an Allen key.
It sounds like
in
a bit
box.
of. No, that's really funny though. It sounds like a roulette though. It's like, oh no, what if
what
actually?
But if you feel the bills have been high, I suppose you probably think, okay,
listen,
I get a few
you can't.
back.
And I mean, it would be unusual. You're talking about maybe a couple of quid either way, but I would so to switch to any provider to do this, they're the only two things you're going to need: your gas point or electricity point reference number, MPRN, GPRN is written on your bill, and the current meter reading, which you can go in and get off the dial, and you can either do it through an organisation like One Bit Switch, or you can do it directly yourself. Ring up, and the supplier will just say, what are those two details? Give us your name and address, and that's it. They deal with your own supplier.
So you don't have to sign off with the other crowd or anything?
No, they do all that. So they'll deal with the other supplier, and they'll make sure that that switch happens. And
so
all
when
that'll
you go
happen
to
is
one
you'll get a different coloured bill in.
That's it.
When you go to One Big Switch, though, Sinead, will they look at the best deal for you?
Yeah, but see, this is exactly what they're doing. So the plan there is to get thousands and thousands of people doing this, because then they can go to the likes of Bord Gáis and say,
negotiate.
Here, look, hold on a second. It's not just Mrs. Murphy from number 3.
I get it.
We have 1,000 people who want to avail of a better rate. And a company, like any gas supplier or electricity supplier, is going to turn around and say, well, look, if I got all that business, we'll be
buying in bulk in one
prepared to
sense.
offer. Correct.
Perfect.
Sinead, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sinead.
As always. Now, if you would like more information on anything we discussed today, pop onto onebigswitch.ie and all the info will be there. We're going to continue our energy saving series in a couple of weeks.